Okay, we're live.
We are live. It has been a hot minute since we have been together. For anybody who doesn't know, hello, welcome. We are Candace and Siobhan, Chaos to Calm. Guys, we have been away because we have been just kicking ass doing Pandora's Box, and that finished. Oh, feels like it finished yesterday, but I mean, it was a pretty amazing, incredible 10-day experience the journey we took these women on, right?
Yes, for
And
sure.
yeah, and now we're back. Now we are so excited to be here live with all of you. And Candace and I are actually going to be coming to you every Wednesday, 7 p.m. And we are going to be having these candid conversations. And that one felt really cool to us. It's on, the big docket of a lot of things that we're doing, but we've been doing a lot of talking recently about our brand and us and who we want to be and what we are and what Chaos Calm is and what our mission is. And guys, we are so freaking excited to share with you what we have come up with after all of the thoughts of all of the things that have come to us. And it has basically come down to us being these dynamic agents of change. And we are here to educate, motivate, and inspire remarkable individuals like you to do the best things, have the ripple effect on humanity. Initially, we wanted to work with women because we thought that that's where we were called to. But when we sat down about thinking about what we wanted to do, we were like, it's not just women. It's we want to be change agents for the entire damn world. And we need those men. We need them for a lot of things, and we need to bring them in and show them love and bring them in onto the change. So the ripple effect for humanity is what we are here to do. So that's the start of this conversation. All right,
So
Candace, let's
much has
talk.
happened in such a short period of time, which is so like on point for us all the time. It is insane. We'll probably share more about what's
Oh,
coming soon, not yet. But today,
yeah.
what we're going to talk about is shame. And it's like, oh man, because I always like being positive. But shame, we got to talk about well, we're having
The growth
candid
stuff.
conversations, like you said.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about, oh, Amanda's on here. Okay, I'm going to try not to, I get easily distracted. Squirrel, what? Okay, so
Yeah.
we're on point. We've got a
Let's get
schedule.
your
We're going to
son in, Amanda. Yeah.
bring everybody in.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we were talking about shame, today um, I'm taking this course through my workplace, and I was reading Brene Brown's book, Dare to Lead. And man, it's so interesting. And so one of the things that I came across was a video that she posted about shame. She talks about shame, guilt, humiliation, and embarrassment. But we wanted to focus on the difference between shame and guilt. So I want to quote Brene Brown. And what she says is that shame is an intensely painful feeling and experience of believing that we are flawed and unworthy of love and belonging. And
Ugh.
when I read
It's
that, it
cringy to
really,
hear. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Like
that
it
really
sits in the
resonated with
chest.
me.
Yeah.
Really resonated with me. And so to differentiate between shame and guilt, shame is the focus on ourselves. I am no good. I am fat. I am these things. I don't even like saying those, even just to
Yeah.
give examples. Guilt, on the other hand, is a focus on behavior. I can't do anything right. I really screwed up, and it's about the actions, or I shouldn't have done that. So we wanted to talk a bit about shame, share a couple of maybe personal examples because we are having candid conversations. And if you guys have any comments, please share them in the comment section. And we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to discuss maybe how you can see it and acknowledge it and move through it because we want to raise up. We have a whole,
Recognize, release, reclaim.
yes, all those things. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, Pandora's box, because it's just
Always.
always there, and I didn't even think about that. All right, Siobhan. So, what are the couple things that you saw about shame that you think we should know?
The gross things for me personally, like my own personal stuff that came up.
Sure,
So, well, we were talking,
put you out
we
there right
talk about
away.
this.
Put on
Well,
Siobhan first.
we talk about this all the time. So Candace and I talk an incredible amount of time. We were literally on a Zoom chat that was supposed to be business, turned into a 5 hour conversation the other
Yes,
day.
5 hours.
5 hours. But we were talking the other night and I said, I feel like shit right now. I feel really sad. And, she wanted to know why, because I was just really feeling really bummed out. And it was having, it sounds terrible. I don't want to talk boy troubles, but it had to do with a conversation about somebody I'd recently met and how I felt like I wasn't able to be my authentic self. And in not being able to express that and not being able to feel like I could be vulnerable in that situation, there's a lot of shame attached to it. And I ended up leaving the situation feeling really sad because instead of being honest, I felt really shitty about myself. Felt really shitty about not being able to just show up as me, and that was so deeply rooted in the shame of my feelings of inadequacy or not feeling enough, and like that's the stuff that's in my box. And so it was just this ugly, gross feeling that you helped me kind of like put the mirror up and be like, this is a, a total shame thing that's coming up for you. And this feeling of like, why would I go into a situation that doesn't make me feel good? And why would I continue to partake in something just because, for whatever the reason was. So yeah, it was very triggering for me. It was very like shame provoking because it was an opportunity that I could have been vulnerable and I wasn't. And it was an opportunity for me to be honest and authentic and really stand in my own power, and I didn't. And I left that situation feeling small and feeling unloved and completely unworthy. And it made me feel like shit, honestly, for like 2 days. And it was, it wasn't anybody else's fault because again, in my own, it being
Yeah.
me means that being empowered to be like, nobody has authority over me, so it's me who's making the decision. If I'm the one who doesn't feel seen, heard, validated, loved, it's because that's the decision that I'm making. And I can either make a decision to move towards something or move away from it depending on how it makes me feel.
Wait, that's really interesting. I didn't jot this down, but it stood out to me that Brene Brown was talking about the three different types of shields. And the
Oh,
one shield
interesting.
is about moving away. I know we didn't even discuss this, but you
No,
said
no,
it,
keep
and here
going.
you go.
Yeah.
The one is about moving away from. That's the shutdown. I'm the queen of shutdown.
Yeah.
So if there's any sense of conflict and or I feel like you don't like me, now I'm not. I don't think I'm all of this right now, but it probably will come up. There's times where I just shut down, and that's what it is when you move away from the situation. That's one way to deal with the feeling of shame or guilt. The
Yeah.
other one is to move towards, and that's to people please. So I bet you when you hear these, we've done all of them.
Yeah.
So then you go out of your way, and I just did that today, and I'll share my story in a moment. So when you move towards the situation, it's to make amends, to people please, to make yourself be
Liked.
to acquiesce, to be
Yeah.
less than so that you're small. Ugh.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
third one is to move against, and that means, bitch, bring it. So if you feel shame and guilt, you're going to put that on the other person. You're going to
Yeah.
come back with
Yeah.
being angry, and you're going to hurt. So I
You
know that my
project.
words, yeah,
Yeah.
my words can be so powerful. I can tear a person down very quick. So those are the three. The first one was moving away from, right? You just dipping out, and you just, I don't want to. And the other one was moving towards, where you start to people please. And the third one is to move against, and that is you give it back to the person. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that you mentioned those. You mentioned two of
Yeah.
the three, and I was like, and you didn't even know.
No, I didn't even
Um,
know. Yeah.
my situation happened today, and it's really interesting because I needed windows for my basement, and my uncle, my whole family are contractors, and many of them install windows and doors and put up siding and things like that. My uncle's in construction. Now, my family lives quite a distance away, and I don't ask anybody for anything. So my uncle brought it up in the summer, the end of the summer, and he's like, you know what? I can come out there and put these windows in for you. And I'm like, that'd be amazing. And so he got the windows. I paid for them. He came out today. Got up at 5:30 in the morning. Drove out here with his son and a partner, and they came. And then they found out that the windows were in metal and they were embedded in concrete. So what was supposed to be a couple of hours of work, these were just basement windows, turned out to be an all day thing. So he called me at work to let me know, and I was filled with guilt and maybe a little bit of shame. The guilt of I didn't measure right. I should have known more. There's no way I could have known anything. In fact, I sent him the estimate that I'd gotten from a different company with measurements. So I gave him the measurements from a professional, and still, so I was filled with all this stuff, and I had to check myself. So this is one of the things that we can do, right? I'm very good now at looking at my emotions and my feelings and seeing so when we mentioned what's in our box, that goes back to the whole metaphor of Pandora's box. We won't get into that today, but when you hear us saying box, that's what we're referring to. And basically the box is where we stuff all our stuff, our broken pieces, okay? So I had in my box that I am Like the things that came up, my shame words would be, I should have known better. I need to do more. So the people pleasing. And the sad one is I am not deserving of unconditional kindness because what I did, so I paid extra money. So I agreed to pay him. I gave extra. I bought a huge king size pizza. I, and all those things I maybe would have done anyways, but the feeling was that I needed to more to make up for the complication that had nothing to do with me. So, anyways, those are the things that came up. But the one thing about shame that we need to do is to talk about it. Right, Siobhan? We
Yeah.
do that really well with one another, but some people feel they can't talk about it because then people are going to see how horrible they are, quote unquote.
Yeah.
What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Well, and that's the thing. It's so hard for us to talk about uncomfortable. That's what we said. We wanted to have uncomfortable conversations comfortably and to give you the space because when we
Yes,
don't talk about things, that's when they get buried down. So you just swallow it, it's feeling after feeling, incident after incident, and it just gets tucked down somewhere because you feel, and then that makes you feel worse because then you're like, instead of being able to
right,
be honest about it, you've just buried it aside and then you feel guilt. So you've got the shame of should, the word should, and you said it, and then you've got the guilt because of this thing that's happened and now you can, or maybe you feel guilty because you feel this way when
right,
that's actually a completely crazy wild experience too, because it's like, well, why do you feel guilty for being able to be honest? And not talking about it just makes it even more of a taboo. It's that elephant in the room thing, whereas you not being able to own this thing, it's, well, why shouldn't you be able to own your feelings? But
right,
it's also important to be able to identify your feelings in a way that are personal as opposed to pointing fingers. So instead of, my thing, and I've mentioned this before, is when I'm feeling when I come into a situation of conflict, I always say the story that I'm telling myself is this. So it diffuses the situation from being like, you made me feel like this. It's like, well, you can't make me feel any kind of way. I decide how I respond. But if I say the story that I'm telling myself about this situation is that is that I felt that my feelings weren't taken into consideration. It
right.
deflects it from
Well, when
making
you
it your
start
fault.
to when you start to do the you, that's blame.
Yeah.
And then you're just deflecting. And there's so much of this going on. Like, and we share our stories so that you can look at yourselves with compassionate courage, compassion, basically. Because one of the biggest things that I've learned is, and I'm going to go there. I know many of you who are watching have heard me say this many times. I love the me that it really, and I say it all the time because I use it all the time. So as I'm sitting at work today, I'm like, where are these feelings coming from? And I ask myself, did you do anything intentionally wrong? No, I didn't know. I did everything that I did everything right. I did everything that I could do. Okay. So I asked myself, did you do anything intentionally wrong? No. Nope, I didn't. And even when you make a mistake and it hurts somebody, like my mistake didn't hurt, well, I didn't even really make a mistake. It just was this. And let me tell you, my uncle said to me, he actually said that he didn't know if the window company would have done what he did because it ended up, he had to shave away concrete. Okay. Like totally. So I thought to myself, the universe made it at this point that my uncle, who is not just windows and doors, but construction, that he came out there because he was able to do that and he had the support with him. It was amazing. So ask yourself when you start to get into shame or guilt, because those are very low vibration feelings. There's nothing good that's going to come from these things. Did you do something on purpose? If you did, because sometimes we can be nasty, we all have nasty moments, then you check yourself. And even then, I love the me that, right? So the first thing to do is to bring it to the light because shame thrives in the darkness. It is part of our ego that's like, look at you. Yeah, you can't do this. Yeah, you this. And that's that voice in our head that we need to shut down. And it gets quieter and quieter. The more, it's like a bully. You know the commercial with the bully, like, yeah, man. And then everyone walks away and the bully's like by themselves. And then the energy of that fizzles out. So think about the words. Like you said, Siobhan, who do you talk to the most? What did you say about that?
Yeah. Well, I said that's one thing I like to ask clients when I'm working with them is to start off by saying, tell me who you speak to the most in your entire life.
Right.
And it's usually a thought of like, okay, maybe it's, your husband, your kids, your sibling, your mom, coworkers. And then it's like, okay, that's not true. None of those are the right answer. The right answer is you. You are the person you speak to most in the entire world. You have 65,000 give or take thoughts that go on like a broken record in your head every single day. And you know what? Most of them are negative. Most of them
Yeah.
are living in the past, living in the future, replaying things that you did, replaying things that you should have done, will do. And then it's all of this, you're not good enough talk. And
Yeah.
and the interesting thing, and the other thing we don't talk about is shame and blame. If we look at those two emotions, what do they both lead to? What are they both an underlying feeling of? Fear. So the
Yeah.
fear of not being loved, the fear of not being seen, the fear of not being heard, accepted, the fear of being outcasted from your community, ostracized for your feelings. So it's a fear. So our shame and our guilt are just fear responses because everything comes back, and you've said it so many times, it all comes back to love. I loved me
Yes.
that. And so it's the fear that nobody else will love you.
And
So
I always say too, every action is either an act of love
yeah,
or a call for love. So when we are pointing the finger at other people, when we hurt other people, it's because we are hurting ourselves. Like we are in a pain response, and because the people that hurt others are hurting themselves, right? So that's really good to address. One of the things that when you talk about what is it connected to, what does it lead to, the feelings of shame and guilt are connected to depression, anxiety, stress, eating disorders, and even suicide. Like, because what you're doing is you're holding, like I said, shame cannot thrive when you add some compassion to it, when you add some empathy, and you have to start with yourself. See, the thing is, oh, hold on, I'm going there. Y'all let me all get
I
all.
saw this finger go up. It's like, all
And
right,
you knew, oh,
go,
Candace is coming
go.
in. Okay, step back, hold on. What I was going to say is, that sometimes we get so stuck in our funkiness, but we look to other people to tell us that we're good enough. So if I'm like, I'm so fat, I'm wanting Siobhan to say, Candace, you're looking good today. And then I can't receive that compliment anyways, because in my head, I'm telling myself I'm too damn fat. Instead, I say, oh, I love all my curves. I love me. And I know that I want to be healthier. But with a healthy attitude, but when you look to other people to make things good, you are the magician in your own world. Everything comes back to you. So, like you said, who do you talk to the most? You talk to yourself the most. Don't put it on other people, because then they're never going to live up to what you need or want. And then that gets into resentment and then the blame. So, when you mentioned the word mirror, I always use that as my metaphor. And that is now a metaphor for both of us as we approach what we're doing. We are mirrors. You and I are mirrors to one another. Oh my Lord, so much. That girl sees me. She sees me. And I think I got a good
Oh, you
look
got
at
my
her too.
number. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the other things that I want to address is about recognizing your triggers. Okay, so it's one thing to see when you're saying things, but what's the trigger that made that? Like, you got to look underneath things, right? So if and I don't know why I'm mentioning my weight, because I'm actually not feeling fat. I'm not, and I know I've got weight to lose, but I'm really truly loving me. But it's just an example I think a lot of women can resonate with. So if I am talking about my weight, what is underneath that? It's a fear of being seen, of our imperfections, whatever that is. So check your triggers. One of the things, sorry, I'll just say this, that as a mother, okay, so I don't know about other mothers, but sometimes I think I'm the worst mother in the world. It's not often. I always know that I'm doing the best that I can. I'm pretty gentle with myself all the time. But there are times that if someone were to call out my kid on something, and it's a reflection of me as a mother, and then I go into guilt. I didn't do a good enough job. I should have. Well, you know what? There is guilt attached because I'm busy with my business all the time. I work full time. I try and go get some exercise, and I feel like time is not on my side. So check your triggers, because wherever you feel you're failing at something, right? Whether it's taking care of your body, taking care of your kids, doing your job right, that's a trigger. And anyways, Siobhan,
Well, and what I
bring
was
it
going
in.
to say is one of the things that, we should all think about as triggers is social media. Because I know my triggers, Instagram. I look at that filtered bullshit and I feel like I am not enough. My business is not where it needs to be. I could stand to be healthier. I should probably have some mansion in California right now and I don't. I see other people my age that are married and they have children. And I don't even know if I want those things, but I see that and I see this filtered version of that and I'm like, man, I feel like shit. Like, here we are doing our business in Ontario, not in Mallorca, Spain.
Right.
And, but I see that. And so, yeah, social media, and that's one that you don't want to talk about checking your triggers. Check in with yourself. Check in with
Yeah.
yourself about what are you watching on social media? What takes your attention? I actually make a habit on my personal Instagram. I follow 26 people. And I had to go through, and the only accounts now I follow, like my mom, my sister, my cousin, and then everything else is just like astrological stuff, motivational quotes, and that is it. I do not want to see anybody's meals. I do not want to see anybody's workout because I know that one of my triggers is not feeling good enough after I see that thing. So it is a really good thing to go back and look at some of those triggers. And maybe yours is the mom accounts that you might see. And you're like, now I feel like a shitty mom. Look at this mom who's just living her best life and she's in the best shape she's ever been in. She's got 17 children and here I am. I can't, I don't look like her. So it's, in terms of checking your triggers, social media is such a good one. And maybe that means, putting a limit, like setting the limit on your phone for, how many hours a day you get to mindlessly scroll, because you can get something that'll time you out after an hour. And it is
Yeah.
very jarring to figure out how quickly that hour goes by. Or just
Yeah.
unfollowing stuff that makes you feel like shit, like
Yeah.
check
And
in with
also,
yourself.
and another piece of advice is just to be around people who lift you up. Sometimes you got to cut people loose, and you can still
Yeah.
do it with love. And it doesn't
Yeah.
mean they have to be gone forever. It could be just that you just need to take a break to fill yourself up with what is good and makes you feel happy and alive. So if we were to sum up some of the things we talked about shame, blame, and guilt. The fact that shame cannot flourish when it's in the light. And a lot of people are afraid to talk about stuff. Let me tell you, I had my transformational journey group. We're having candid conversations. I am very open and honest. And you know what that does? It shows other people that they are not alone, because my shit is other people's shit. I am not out there living things that other people are not experiencing.
Yeah.
My life might be different from your life, but the feelings, man, we've all had them. And so
Yeah.
when I say I'm 5'6" and I probably weigh about 180 pounds, I don't even know how much I weigh. I got 3 kids and I know I'm screwing them up every damn day. I don't feel like cooking, whatever. I don't know. But when we talk about it, it doesn't seem so bad. You can have a
Yeah.
chuckle over it, right?
Yeah.
But when we keep it inside, those simple things can mean that I'm the worst person in the world. And we need to stop that. So bring stuff into the light, even if it's just for yourself. Use the words, I love the me that, as much as possible. It might sound cheesy at the beginning, but I say it, I tell people about it all the time. And people are like, oh, I got to write that one down. Damn straight you do. And then say it every damn day. What are your last tidbits of advice as we close this up?
Yeah, closing off, like you said, I think the most important thing is bringing it into the light. Shame is like mold; like it cannot grow in the light. It
Yeah,
grows in the dark. It's insidious. It's disgusting. It's cringy. But if you shine the light on it, if you say the things that make you feel uncomfortable, if you say the things, if you own your truth, and you're speaking with authenticity, that's another
yeah,
thing. Is that don't just say things to be unkind because like, well, it's my truth. It's like, no, no, speak authentically. Ask
yeah,
yourself, is it true? Is it
yes,
kind? Is it necessary? Like you said, apologize. And don't apologize because you're apologizing for yourself. Because a lot of times people are like, well, I'm sorry. Well, I said I'm sorry. Or what I used to do, I was a big douchebag for this. I used to say, I'm sorry you feel that way. It's like I'm not
oh,
sorry at all. I'm being an asshole. I'm saying I'm sorry you feel that way. Well, I'm sorry you feel. It's like that's not a sorry. That's not an apology. I didn't genuinely mean it. It was deflecting. But saying, like you said, we're talking about apologizing and genuinely apologizing. Also apologizing not with the expectation of being redemption because of your apology, because that's not why you're saying it. You're not saying
right,
it to make yourself feel better, to eliminate your own guilt, but apologize because you fucked up and you authentically want to own your stuff. So yeah, so bring it into the light. Apologize when you have to. Be honest with yourself. Have the ability to be vulnerable. Have uncomfortable conversations. Surround yourself with people that raise your vibration. Unfollow the things that make you feel crappy. Those are
yeah.
those are my thoughts.
I love those. Those are awesome. So, I guess and so just to reiterate that we are going to be having candid conversations, you and I, every Wednesday at 7, unless some unforeseen thing comes up, and then
Yeah,
we'll reschedule for a different day. We're very excited. And what we'd love to know is what you might want us to talk about. You can also, so maybe we should start a thread. I just realized that in our
that's a good
Chaos to
idea.
Calm page.
Yeah.
And then we can have maybe a unit dedicated to candid conversations. So share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your desires for topics, and we'll get on those because we want to know what you want to know about.
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
Okay.
there's so much great things coming. We are
Oh
like
yeah.
chewing at the bit for all of the amazing stuff. So stay tuned.
Oh, actually,
Uh,
let me just say, hold on.
okay.
That okay, so I was bargaining with Siobhan. We
Oh,
are yeah, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So we are doing some automated stuff. So we just did Seen Beyond 2020, the Vision Journal workshop. We then did Pandora's Box, and we've got other things coming. And so the Vision Journal workshop was offered for free. And there's a lot of time and effort that went into it. It's like jewels of information. We actually just came up with this new thing that I did today. I would show you, but I can't.
yeah.
Called Current Me to Future Me. Anyways, we're about to launch this on our website and for free. So that's we're still calling it Seen Beyond and getting my life in focus or something like that. And that's going to be offered for free. There'll be a PDF to download. There'll be a video on there. And I just felt like it should be free. I feel like the beginning of the journal is to create the vision. So stay tuned for that and all the other things that are coming up through Chaos to Calm. And on that note, I think we're ready to say goodbye. And we thank
That's
you
it.
all for being here with us tonight. Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
guys.
Take
Bye.
care.